Hi, I'm Chris Van Hollen, and always proud that the Children's Inn and NIH have their home in Maryland. Over the past year, our country, and in fact the entire world, have witnessed firsthand the extraordinary talent and determination of the men and women at NIH. You've been at the forefront of the fight to beat the coronavirus and put an end to this pandemic, never giving up. And as you have battled the pandemic, you have also continued your work to find treatments and cures for other diseases that plague families here and around the world. And through it all, the wonderful team at the Children's Inn has been a full partner. In fact, we now celebrate 30 years of that partnership, where the Children's Inn has joined with the NIH to help us tackle disease by providing a home away from home, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for children undergoing diagnosis and treatment. And while the scientists at NIH work to fight disease, the family at the Children's Inn works to fight fear. The fear of what's unknown, the fear of being sick, the fear of being far away from home. The Children's Inn has always been more than simply a place to stay. It's a warm and welcoming refuge for the brave children, young adults, and families who travel to NIH in need of treatment. You are our children's guardians. And I would be remiss not to thank, from the bottom of my heart, the young people and families who stay at the inn and participate in NIH trials. Your strength, your bravery, inspire us all. A few weeks ago, I joined with about 8 other members of Congress who met with President Biden at the White House to talk about a strategy for taking a new quantum leap forward in our quest to defeat disease. We have so much more to learn to achieve that mission, but one thing we know, the NIH will be in the middle of that quest, and so will the team at the Children's Inn and all who come through its doors. You represent the very best of America, the best of humanity. Thank you, and congratulations to the Children's Inn at NIH on your 30th anniversary.
Children's Inn, this extraordinary home for those who need it most, is a remarkable lesson in unity of purpose and caring. As brilliant points of light in the hard, dark world of battling illness, you've given this rare and loving gift, and you've shown your belief in the shining role which family support plays in the treatment of a sick child. And now, off to cut the ribbon.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Billy Harris. Great to see so many of my friends coming to you live from Los Angeles. I'm on the other side of the country here tonight. Excited, of course, to be celebrating the Inn and 30 years of hope and discovery with so many special guests. I wore my sequins for you, even in my virtual studio on the West Coast. So tonight, we're going to hear from a number of wonderful supporters, including children, young adults, and families who have stayed at the Inn, about what the Inn means to them. And we're thrilled and honored to share their stories here tonight. But first, we want to thank Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland for his message of support and hope. So I'm giving a virtual clap from across the country. So here's a little overview of what's going to happen in our next 60, 70, 80 minutes together here. You're going to hear stories of hope. You'll learn about Jules, who was born with severe sickle cell disease and who pinned his hope of future on an NIH clinical trial that could cure his insidious disease. You're also going to hear stories of discovery. You're going to hear from a little girl named Autumn, who has a large facial tumor that kept on growing. An NIH clinical trial Autumn participated in that had resulted in the first ever FDA approved medication for children with her devastating tumor disorder, bringing hope to children like Autumn who have no treatment options until now. So this is a celebration of the amazing work that we do. And obviously, everyone knows I wore the sequins because you're going to have an opportunity to show your support later on tonight. Everything at the Inn is made possible by the Inn's tremendous network of supporters. We're honored to introduce you to a few of them this evening. They include tonight's sponsors, Merck and its CEO, Ken Frazier. I think Ken's on here. I know everyone's on here. Synergy Enterprises, Inc. and its CEO, my good friend Prachi's here. David Das, hi Prachi, a member of the Inn's board. And Children's Inn board chair, Susan Penfield, who is also Booz Allen Hamilton's chief innovation officer. We have several members of Congress here tonight. I thought they would all be in the sequence, but maybe next year. And of course, we'll hear from NIH Director Dr. Francis Collins. So we're also going to have hi Dr. Collins, great to see you again. We're also going to have a Raise the Paddle segment. I'll get to that a little later on in the program here tonight. But just as a reminder, please have your cell phone ready. It's going to be very simple. We're going to show some great videos, and you'll actually be able to scan the screen with the QR code to click and donate with whatever amount is right for you and your family. But it is on with the show right now. So let's hear from the Children's Inn CEO, my good friend, Jenny Luca. Take it away, Jenny. So tonight, we're going to hear from a number of wonderful supporters, including children, young adults, and families who have stayed at the Inn, about what the Inn means to them. And we're thrilled and honored to share their stories here tonight. But first, we want to thank Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland for his message of support and hope. So I'm giving a virtual clap from across the country. So here's a little overview of what's going to happen in our next 60, 70, 80 minutes together here. You're going to hear stories of hope. You'll learn about Jules, who was born with severe sickle cell disease and who pinned his hope of future on an NIH clinical trial that could cure his insidious disease. You're also going to hear stories of discovery. You're going to hear from a little girl named Autumn, who has a large facial tumor that kept on growing. An NIH clinical trial Autumn participated in that had resulted in the first ever FDA approved medication for children with her devastating tumor disorder, bringing hope to children like Autumn who have no treatment options until now. So this is a celebration of the amazing work that we do. And obviously, everyone knows I wore the sequins because you're going to have an opportunity to show your support later on tonight. Everything at the Inn is made possible by the Inn's tremendous network of supporters. We're honored to introduce you to a few of them this evening. They include tonight's sponsors, Merck and its CEO, Ken Frazier. I think Ken's on here. I know everyone's on here. Synergy Enterprises, Inc. and its CEO, my good friend Prachi's here. David Das, hi Prachi, a member of the Inn's board. And Children's Inn board chair, Susan Penfield, who is also Booz Allen Hamilton's chief innovation officer. We have several members of Congress here tonight. I thought they would all be in the sequence, but maybe next year. And of course, we'll hear from NIH Director Dr. Francis Collins. So we're also going to have hi Dr. Collins, great to see you again. We're also going to have a Raise the Paddle segment. I'll get to that a little later on in the program here tonight. But just as a reminder, please have your cell phone ready. It's going to be very simple. We're going to show some great videos, and you'll actually be able to scan the screen with the QR code to click and donate with whatever amount is right for you and your family. But it is on with the show right now. So let's hear from the Children's Inn CEO, my good friend, Jenny Luca. Take it away, Jenny.
Thank you, Billy. Good evening, and thank you for joining us to celebrate this special milestone event, our 30th anniversary. I've been with the Inn for more than half of those 30 years, and I have had the distinct privilege of being part of its growth and development into the mature, successful organization it is today. 30 years of providing a place like home to children, young adults, and their families who travel from all over the world seeking hope at the NIH Clinical Center. 30 years of making childhood possible despite illness. Kids really get to be kids when they come to the Inn. They don't worry about being judged for their appearance, how they're feeling, or their ability to participate in normal activities. I can easily smile when I think about all of the children who have developed a new skill or interest during their time at the Children's Inn. 30 years of relieving the burden on families during what is often the most difficult time in their lives. Giving caregivers a comfortable, safe, and mutually supportive environment where they can rest and recharge and prepare for what is to come next on their journey. Part of this is giving families the opportunity to spend time together, making important memories. Tonight, we're not just celebrating the Children's Inn, but the 30-year partnership between the NIH and the Children's Inn. A partnership resulting in such impressive medical advances as making pediatric HIV/AIDS a largely treatable disease, dramatically boosting the childhood leukemia survival rate, determining the causes of a wide range of rare diseases, and devising first treatments for them. This partnership helps families find hope during the most difficult time in their lives. At the Inn, we feel well equipped to plan for the next 30 years, and we have been developing a vision and plans for the Inn of the future, something that we will be sharing more with you very soon. And there's another important partnership we're celebrating tonight. The Inn was founded 30 years ago with fundamental support from congressional spouses, which ultimately led to a bipartisan cause that Congress has rallied around ever since. It's now my honor to introduce you to the chair of our board of directors, Susan Penfield. Thank you, Susan, not only for joining us tonight, but also for your leadership during this pandemic. Susan is not only the chair of the Inn's board of directors, she's also the executive vice president at Booz Allen Hamilton and its chief innovation officer and strategic innovation group lead. Susan has served as one of our board members since 2013, but her passion for the Inn and involvement with our cause extends far beyond that. For more than 20 years, she's generously volunteered her talents, her time, and her personal financial resources for the benefit of the seriously ill children and families who rely on the Inn to be a place like home. And Susan can be seen dressing up like an elf during the holidays, serving meals to families, anything she can do and Booz Allen can do to bring joy to families when they need it the most.
Thank you so much, Jenny, and good evening, everyone. I'm so delighted to be here. And Jenny has spoke about my incredible passion for the Inn, so I'm delighted to have the opportunity to celebrate 30 years with you all today of hope and discovery. So tonight, celebrating with us are our friends in Congress, and we've got congratulatory messages from two influential legislators from both sides of the aisle who have supported the Inn for many, many years. Democratic Representative Debbie Dingell of Michigan, an Inn founder and current trustee, and Republican Senator Roy Blunt of Missouri, who recorded a message of hope with his wife, Mrs. Abby Blunt, an Inn trustee with a long history of supporting the Inn.
I'm so sorry we can't gather together in person, but I'm honored to speak about a place and a community that is got a very special place in my heart. For 3 decades, the Children's Inn has been a source of hope and joy for children and families who need it the most. It's put smiles on their faces, and it's brought comfort, empathy, and support to their families. I'm really proud of all that it is to these families and the hope and help it's brought. It's one of the greatest places this country has to offer if you've got a child that's sick. And I have been very honored to be a part of this family over the years. To all of the staff, the volunteers, and supporters who have guided the Inn, been a part of its structure, made sure that it was strong over the last 30 years. Thank you for all you have done to build a place like home for our kids when they're sick, when they've needed somebody to care, when they've needed a place to find security when things are tough.
Hi, I'm Senator Roy Blunt.
And I'm Abby Blunt.
We are proud supporters of the Children's Inn and of NIH, and I've had the opportunity and the privilege for the last 12 years to be a trustee on the Children's Inn. I've had the opportunity to work with the incredible staff as they welcome children and families from across the country and around the world who are going through clinical trials to stay in the inn during this difficult time. The inn is a great example of a public-private partnership where the federal government 30 years ago provided the land on the NIH campus, and congressional spouses like me and others raised funds to make the inn a reality.
In my work in the Congress, I get to spend a lot of time with the great team at NIH. The great work they do is easy for me to talk about anywhere in the country, and if I'm out of the country, anywhere around the world. And I guarantee you, if Abby's there, there's always at least one story about the Children's Inn and what it means to the campus at NIH. Happy 30th anniversary.
Our thanks and appreciation go to Representative Dingell and Senator Blunt and Mrs. Blunt for their kind words of support. All three of these leaders have been incredible supporters and have helped the inn do so much good for our kids and our families. And now it is my distinct honor to introduce you to a special friend of the Children's Inn, Ken Frazier, the CEO of Merck. Ken has been named one of the world's greatest leaders by Fortune magazine, and Time named him one of the 100 most influential people. In 2019, he became the first recipient of the Forbes Lifetime Achievement Award for Healthcare. Ken, you are incredible, and we thank you for joining us this evening.
Good evening, everyone. It is really my pleasure to be with you tonight. More than 30 years ago, Merck was first approached about what was then just a dream to create a place that is now fondly known as the Children's Inn at NIH. Back then, the inn was simply a bold idea of Dr. Phil Pizzo, Chief of Pediatrics at NIH, and an incredibly dedicated group of people around him who came together to pursue a common goal. These visionaries were driven by their shared passion to create a safe, nurturing place for children and their families from all around the world, seeking hope through the benefits of cutting-edge medical research. At the time, it was a unique approach based on the belief that the government and the private sector could work together to create an enduring partnership to get this concept off the ground and sustain it into the future. Back then, our CEO was Dr. Roy Vagelos, a physician, researcher, and NIH alum himself. Dr. Vagelos and my Merck colleagues felt so strongly about the mission of the proposed Children's Inn that we committed the initial funds for the project and joined a decades-long collaboration with many other partners, all dedicated to ensuring its success. Merck provided that initial grant, which enabled the inn to be built. 15 years later, in 2004, we provided the leading gift for a major expansion that doubled the footprint and added 23 rooms and much-needed communal space. Over the last 30 years, we provided other support and matching gifts with the goal of providing help where it was most needed. These investments, totaling more than $20 million, have allowed the inn to grow and expand, evolving to meet the unique needs of the children and families it serves. Beyond the necessary financial support, we all know that volunteers play an essential and special role at the inn, and I'm proud that our employees, along with so many committed neighbors, businesses, and community organizations, have eagerly volunteered their time and resources over the years to ensure that the inn's children and their families continue to have a place just like home. It truly does take a village, and there is no finer exemplar of that than the Children's Inn. If you can't already tell, Merck and the Merck Foundation are extremely proud partners and supporters of the Children's Inn and the many brave children and young adults from across the world who've stayed at the inn since 1990 to pioneer new treatments by participating in groundbreaking NIH clinical research, clinical research that advances modern medicine to benefit all of us. Since the very beginning, Merck and the Inn have shared a common goal of helping to support the science and discovery happening at the NIH, and we're thrilled to be celebrating this shared legacy tonight. I am pleased to now turn it over to our next speaker. Of course, we all know NIH Director Dr. Francis Collins as a visionary scientific leader. But what some may not know is that Dr. Collins and his wife, Diane Baker, a longtime Inn board member herself, have worked tirelessly together to support the Inn and its family. Truly, there have been no greater friends of the Children's Inn than Dr. Collins and Diane Collins. Thank you both. And now I turn it over to you, Dr. Collins.
My goodness. So thank you, my dear friend, Ken Frazier, for those wonderful remarks and for all you're doing as the CEO of Merck to continue this tradition of supporting the Children's Inn. And all that means now 30 years along, Children's Inn would just simply not be possible without that support that Merck has been so consistently willing to back up year after year. And that's wonderful to have you be as part of our program here today. And thank you for everything you're doing on so many other fronts as well through the pharmaceutical company that we all so admire and that has been called upon rather heavily this year in therapeutics and vaccines and all kinds of other things to deal with COVID-19. The reason why we're having this virtually instead of being in a big ballroom with Billy entertaining us from the stage. Billy, thank you for entertaining us anyway from your little Hollywood square there on my screen. And many thanks also to Susan Penfield. What a wonderful role you have been playing. It's a board chair. And to Jenny, who's just such a marvelous leader of the Children's Inn and who we all have such confidence in. Even in challenging times like this, you're going to figure out how to see us through and how those kids and their families are going to be taken care of. So yeah, I'm honored because we're talking about 30 years. I guess I just missed the founding because I got here 28 years ago. So the Children's Inn was all of a 2-year-old at that point. And first as the director of the Genome Institute, and now for the last almost 12 years as the NIH director, it has been a joy to be able to take part in everything the Children's Inn represents. It is the way in which one can get inspired, can get reminded about why we do what we do. I just drop by and it won't take you more than about 30 seconds to be reminded about what the power is of medical research brought to bear in the lives of families and especially families with children. Over the years, my wife, Diane Baker, oh, here she is. Maybe she would like to drop in.
Hi, everyone, and congratulations, Children's Inn. This is a wonderful celebration.
Yeah, I couldn't resist because I know that I'm mostly here, as I've said before, by being Mr. Diane Baker, but I'm also glad to be here as the NIH director. Yeah, we've done a lot here in terms of, but it has not been hard work. It's been a joy. It's been what you call a labor of love. I think we have a pretty good understanding of how the well-being of pediatric patients has been so profoundly affected by the way in which they can be cared for at the Children's Inn, a home away from home, a home like home, the best kind of home you could have when you're going through a very difficult time, because kids would not be there with their families unless they were afflicted by something that medicine doesn't have answers for. And they're coming to us at the NIH to take part in a clinical trial. And then once the long days have happened up on the hill in the clinical center hospital, they get to come back down the hill with this wonderful sense of being warmly embraced by a place that is going to make them feel loved, cared for, and to have some fun, because they do have fun. And the amazing things that Jenny and her team do, and what a team it is to make this an experience that even, having a chronic illness or something where you've got to come back many times, the kids say, could we go back again now, please? And that's not what you would expect, other than the fact that this is such a wonderful, warm, welcoming place. I've had the experience myself working on a rare disease called progeria of having kids with that condition who stayed in the Children's Inn, were taken care of at the NIH Clinical Center, saw the way in which that provided such a wonderful shot in the arm for their families to know that there was going to be a place where all was going to be taken care of and where everybody was really sensitized to the fact that people are going through tough times and many of these kids have real challenges. So I think you could say the inn has healing properties. Its activities help children and families feel better about being far from home, sometimes for weeks or even months at a time. They're missing friends and loved ones. Families are missing time at work. They're having financial challenges and dealing with difficult and sometimes frightening diseases. But all of that is so much assisted by the love and care they get at the inn. Diane and I have volunteered our time from time to time. Diane has served on the board for many years, now as a trustee, like Abby Blunt, who you heard from a minute ago. We've helped serve dinner to Children's Inn families. One of the things that I love doing, and we'll look forward to doing again when COVID is finally over, is to invite my lab personnel, or sometimes it's my director's office personnel, to come and join me and make dinner for the families at the Children's Inn. And it's such a reminder about what it is that medical research is really all about. And they come away inspired. And it's a bonding experience like almost nothing else you can imagine. So a magical place, a place like home. More than 14,500 NIH pediatric patients, plus their family members, have been cared for over these 30 years. So I know we'll talk more about how the Inn contributes to NIH research, and we'll meet some of those who have actually had the opportunity to stay there and hear their stories later in the program. So, but with now, I just want to celebrate 30 years of hope and discovery at the Children's Inn. Diane, anything you want to say to add to that before I give it back to Susan?
Just, I wish I could be with you all tonight, but I'm so glad to be here virtually.
Yeah, it's the next best thing. And we will all look forward to when we can hug each other again, because we miss that. But the Children's Inn has continued to do their great work, notwithstanding all of this. So thanks for this opportunity to say a few things. And now let me return this to Susan Penfield. And thank you, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Collins and Diane, for your amazing work and your enduring support of the Inn. You both are just so special to all of us and to the Inn and their families. So thanks for being here today. And Diane, thanks for the drop-in. We loved it.
I did too.
So now we're gonna go to a few more videos, and we're delighted that Senator Mark Warner of Virginia has sent a special message of support. So we're going to share that with us with you now.
Hi, I'm Virginia Senator Mark Warner, and I think it's very appropriate that we honor the 30 years of hope and discovery that's been taking place at the National Institute of Health. We all know that remarkable research is done at NIH, but what we haven't nearly focused on is the fact that so many children have had a place to stay, to get cared for at the Children's Inn that is affiliated with NIH, now for close to 30 years. In this past year of COVID, with the increased levels of isolation that has been brought about by social distancing, the kind of research that goes on at NIH and the kind of respite that families get at the Children's Inn has never been more important. I'm proud in the United States Senate to be a supporter of the NIH and of increased medical research. We've seen in the last year with the development of vaccines for COVID-19, what can happen when we put dollars, resources, and energy behind solving medical problems. We need to bring that same level of dedication and funding to the very many pediatric illnesses that NIH deals with. And we need to make sure that we support institutions like the Children's Inn, who provides that comfort and support for these kids during their critical treatment.
Appreciate the Senator's kind remarks and his support of the Children's Inn. And now we'll move on, and I'm pleased to introduce to you a fellow Children's Inn board member and a friend I admire personally, Prachi Devada, whose firm Synergy Enterprises is actually producing this event series and will be helping to facilitate tonight's program. Prachi is an award-winning small business owner who leads a firm that focuses on government consulting in public health and education. Former President Obama recognized Prachi's business success as an example of a promise of opportunity in America. She was named the Small Business Person of the Year for Washington, D.C. by the U.S. Small Business Administration, was a top executive of the year by GovCon, and is a Washington Business Journal's Minority Business Leader awardee. Thank you, Prachi, for joining us this evening and for Synergy's support of this very special event.
Good evening to all of you. I'm proud to be part of the IN's 30th anniversary celebration of hope and discovery because the mission of the Children's Inn is very near and dear to my heart. At Synergy Enterprises, we serve a variety of federal partners, including the NIH. While Synergy, this work is of fundamental importance, it is my volunteer work since 2003 with the Inn that has allowed my staff and me to connect directly with the children, young adults, and the families. Volunteering with and supporting the Inn puts our work into perspective and lends it deeper meaning. This is why Synergy is honored to sponsor and to help produce tonight's event. This evening, you will hear some inspirational stories of hope and discovery that are only possible because brave children and young adults pioneer first-in-human treatments as part of groundbreaking NIH clinical trials led by extraordinarily dedicated NIH researchers. The Children's Inn welcomes these brave children with open arms and provides them with a place like home, free of charge, making long and or frequent stays at the NIH something children actually look forward to, and provides their parents peace of mind during these most stressful times. The Inn is an integral part of the NIH pediatric research, making childhood possible, relieving the burden of illness on families, and advancing NIH research for a brighter tomorrow. Rather than hearing it from me, let's hear directly from a young NIH patient, Autumn, and her mother about the tremendous impact NIH research and the Children's Inn, in particular, has had on them and on Autumn's health.
My name is Autumn, I'm 9 years old, and I come from Kansas.
I've known Autumn since she's been a little girl, very little, and she's always been a beautiful, energetic young lady.
We come to the Children's Inn to go to the clinical trials at the NIH. Autumn, my daughter, she has neurofibromatosis, also known as NF1.
I'm directing a research program directed at a disease called neurofibromatosis type 1, also known as NF1. When she was started on the MEK inhibitor, she had a nice shrinkage.
Dr. Wiedemann has been her doctor since she was 2 years old. When she's not on the medicine, it grows dramatically. So when she is on the medicine, even if it's not shrinking a ton, at least it's stable.
I think Autumn loves the Children's Inn. I believe for Autumn, one of the main reasons to come here is the Children's Inn.
After a long day at the hospital, we come back here to the Children's Inn. It really feels like home.
Autumn is a remarkable young lady. Dr. Collins, I understand this research took many, many years of hard work by Dr. Bridget Wiedemann and Dr. Andrew Gross at the National Cancer Institute. I believe a large number of children like Autumn staying at the Inn continue to participate in this trial. What is the significance of this research for children with NF1?
Well, this is just one of the many heartwarming stories that the Children's Inn has made possible. NF1, or neurofibromatosis, is not a particularly rare condition, but Autumn has a particularly severe version of it, which causes the development of what's called a plexiform neurofibroma, which happens very early and distorts all of the anatomy around it. And this has been in the past just one of the most difficult conditions you could imagine to treat. My own research lab was involved in discovering the gene for neurofibromatosis way back in 1990, but we have not really had an effective treatment until Dr. Brigitte Wiedemann and Dr. Andrea Gross decided to give a try at this drug, selumetinib, which was developed for another purpose, but which, through really good science, they concluded might have the right activities to help with this condition. And so starting a clinical trial, which would be very difficult to have done anywhere else, and inviting kids from all over the country who had this particularly significant version of NF1 with these plexiform neurofibromas to come and see if they'd like to enroll. They started down this path. Now recognize you don't know when you start a trial of this sort whether it's going to work. And so families have to basically become our partners, and they have to decide, okay, we're going to do this together, and we depend on them and their willingness to take that risk in hopes that it might help without any promise that it will. But this time, it has made a really significant difference in the lives of multiple kids that have now been given this treatment. And this treatment actually was brought forward based on the research done at the NIH and evaluated by the FDA. And just about a year ago, the FDA approved selumetinib for the treatment of plexiform neurofibromas in neurofibromatosis type 1. That's a lot of syllables, but that's a really big deal. So you started with I don't know if it's going to work, and now you have a drug that's approved because the evidence is overwhelming that it helps. So it is a great story, and Autumn is a big part of that story, as are all the other kids who've been able to do this. Autumn stayed at the inn more than 30 times. I guess she probably could be a staff person about now. Last visit for her was September of 2020. Due to the pandemic, she's had mostly virtual visits over the course of the last year, as you might guess. Her most recent MRI scan looks pretty good. There might be some possible small growths around her face and her stomach tumors, but her mom says these kinds of fluctuations are normal and not a reason for concern. You heard her mom say if she goes off the medicine, then the growth starts again very quickly. So this is exactly why this is such a good thing. And this same drug is now being tested to see if it could be utilized even earlier, not waiting for these large tumors to form. And we hope that that's also going to turn out to be a good prevention strategy. So I hear Autumn can't wait to come back to the Children's Inn. Her mom reports that Autumn asks almost daily when they can finally come back. And think about what that means for a kid who's been through so much that she can't wait to come back and be in that place where she knows people are going to know her and love her and care for her. So what a great story. Thanks, Prachi.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. It is indeed so heartwarming. We are now very honored to share with you a message from another strong ally of NIH, Congressman Michael C. Burgess of Texas.
Hello, this is Congressman Michael Burgess. I want to thank you for inviting me to participate in today's exciting celebration honoring 30 years of the Children's Inn. We are fortunate to live in a country which holds research and development at such high importance. And of course, the NIH is the gold standard of this research. It is here where countless lives have been improved, countless lives saved, and progress is being made on diseases and science to not only find cures, but to keep us healthy as well. Last year, I heard a courageous patient. He was suffering from sickle cell disease. This child had gone through more than anyone should ever have to experience in a lifetime, but his bravery is allowing for groundbreaking research to progress, and hopefully, because of children like him, we will one day have cures for diseases as dreadful as sickle cell. During the clinical trials and the research this child participated in at the NIH, he and his family were provided comfort at the Children's Inn. The Children's Inn is one of the most successful public-private partnerships that I can think of, providing a comfortable environment for the brave children and their families participating and contributing to innovative research taking place at the NIH institutes. The cures and treatments available today would not have been possible without heroic individuals like the children and families staying at the Children's Inn. I am looking forward to learning more about the innovative and inspiring work taking place at the various NIH institutes highlighted in the Discovery series launched by today's event. Thank you for the opportunity to highlight the importance of the Children's Inn and the NIH institutes. Have a good and successful evening.
Thank you, Congressman Burgess, for your message of support. Speaking of which, many of us are familiar with sickle cell disease, a blood disorder often used to explain basic genetics and how children can inherit this disease from their parents when both are carriers. But few of us know how devastating a sickle cell disease diagnosis really is. Next, you will hear from Jules, a vivacious young man who nearly lost his life to this devastating disease, but who found hope in NIH clinical trials, including a transformative trial led by Dr. Matthew Shea at the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute that has made it possible for him to undergo a curative bone marrow transplant. Thanks to NIH, Jules received a unique chance at a future free from disease. He spent many months at the Children's Inn to make his study participation possible.
I'm Jules, and I'm 24 years old, and I've been coming to the Children's Inn since I was 19 years old because of a chronic illness called sickle cell disease.
Sickle cell is a medical illness that's inherited where you receive one copy of what we call the sickle gene from each of the parent. Having the disease, you may look normal, but your life is punctuated by frequent periods of what we call pain crises.
Children die from sickle cell every day. A lot of times we don't make it to 40 years old. Now I am cured of sickle cell disease, and I can do so much more than I could ever do before. It's a blessing to be here at NIH and be here at the Children's Inn. Even though it's called the Children's Inn, it's such a wonderful place for young adults as well. Through the Young Adults program, I was able to meet other people who were also my age and going through the same things. I would like to thank the staff of the Children's Inn, most importantly the donors who make the Children's Inn possible.
What an amazing transformation this young man has experienced. Dr. Collins, how has sickle cell research evolved thanks to NIH?
It has been dramatic, and this was the very first genetic disorder ever described. Sickle cell described more than 100 years ago. It was the first disorder where we knew the actual problem, which was a misspelling in the protein for hemoglobin. And yet, decade after decade, not much was happening in terms of finding ways to help these young people. And as Jules said there, the course was not an easy one at all. These repeated episodes of agonizing pain, or ultimately organ damage and a shortened lifespan. A really difficult sentence for anybody to basically take on. But there is now such hope. And Jules is a great example of a young man who had a really rough time with sickle cell disease, even more than most, and then came to NIH, enrolled in this clinical trial for bone marrow transplant, basically allowing the opportunity for his red blood cells, which were of the sickle type, to be replaced by red blood cells from a donor that were not going to have that issue. And you can see the dramatic results. He is such an effective spokesperson for almost everything. This kid is going far, I'm sure. I hope you also appreciated what he said about what a good thing it is that the Children's Inn does take on patients all the way up to age 30, because they need that kind of home environment too, and that opportunity to have those interactions with others their age. And I'm happy to see that got highlighted here. Not only are we seeing, thanks to NIH's efforts, and that's Dr. Shea, who you heard from, but Dr. John Tisdale, who oversees the sickle cell program, now dozens and dozens of patients who've had successful bone marrow transplants. That means, however, that they need to have a well-matched donor, usually a sibling. But a lot of sickle cell patients don't have a well-matched donor. And so we're on to the next phase, which is really out there on the leading edge of the possible, which is gene therapy, where instead of needing a donor, you basically figure out how to fix that person's own bone marrow by transferring in a normal gene that's going to make normal hemoglobin. I spent a couple of hours this afternoon in a meeting talking about where we are with gene therapy for sickle cell disease. And again, the clinical center at NIH, working with a company called Bluebird, is really leading the world in figuring out how to do this. And many of those individuals have been staying at the Children's Inn. And the results with the most recent version of this protocol is truly dramatic. And you might have seen some evidence of that on 60 Minutes with people who basically were barely able to keep themselves going because of repeated horrible episodes of attacks of pain, and who now are like, okay, I'm going to start life over because I can do anything. This is where we hoped we would get to. I hoped this would happen in my lifetime, and here we are. And the NIH is such an amazing place to be able to do this, but we couldn't do it without the Children's Inn. So what about Jules? Where is he? Well, he's doing well. I will tell you, he's had a tough year because of COVID and because of hurricanes, because he lives in Lake Charles, Louisiana. You may remember that there was a pretty bad hit to Lake Charles from one of those hurricanes, in fact, from both of them. But he and his family are safe. And thanks to his newfound health, he's been able to keep up with the repairs and the cleanup after all of this, while continuing with his university courses. And he says he feels strong and healthy and thanks God for every day. And we thank God for Jules and for all those who made it possible for him now to be in such an amazing state of health.
Thank you so much, Dr. Collins and Fachi. I think this has been just an amazing, inspirational walk down memory lane. And, you know, I'm once again reminded of how proud I am of the way the Children's Inn, the NIH, and our dedicated supporters have worked together for 30 years to improve the lives of the children and the families that come to us. And I should say that we are well equipped and very excited about the next 30 years. Very soon, our supporters will hear about our Inn of the Future, which I think will be very exciting as we think about what families will need over the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And I can't say enough to our supporters for staying with us over the last 30 years. It is because of you that we are able to carry out our special mission. And I say that from the bottom of my heart, especially over this last pandemic year, which has been especially challenging. I am now going to welcome back the ever funny Billy Harris, who through his humor and true passion for the Children's Inn has helped us raise needed funds. Billy, I'm going to hand it back to you.
We are back. Thank you, Jenny, for that. And thank you to everyone on here tonight. It's been an honor to be with you in DC the past few years, but I'm across the country this year, and I look forward to seeing everyone in 2022. But most important, what Dr. Collins and Prachi and all my other friends on here have said about the future of the Inn is going to take a lot of support. And that's why they brought me back to see everyone here once again. So here is what is going to happen. It is my job tonight over the next very few short minutes to help raise a lot of funds so the Inn can continue and provide the support. Children like Autumn and Jules, how inspiring that was here tonight. It doesn't matter that we're on here on Zoom. We all know how important this organization is and all the clinical research studies that can change children's lives for sure. So let's get together and make a difference. And I know they just handed me, well, it came off my laser printer. They just handed me this nice piece of paper here. Before we even go into what we're going to do, I'm going to give a few shout outs to a few people because this little piece of paper contains almost $50,000 in donations already. So I know that Susan and Brian Penfield, they have donated $10,000 already. So thank you so much. The Somaya family, what they're going to do, they're going to match up to another $10,000. So thank you very much. Every donation there. Louise and Les Alperstein are in for $5,000. Mark Robb or Robbie, sorry, I forgot that wrong, also has donated $5,000. Scott Vogel, Deborah and Rebecca Weaver, Ryan Elizabeth Reel, they're all at $2,500 a piece. And I have a lot more names to shout out to, but here's what's going to happen and here's how this is going to work. It is very simple. You all have some sort of cell phone there. Of course, they're also going to put the link to donate in the chat. And I know you're going to get an email, but it's very simple. $10,000. This is our virtual paddle raise, covers the cost of providing a place-like home. $5,000, Feeding Families program. $2,500, simple things like a playground. $1,000 contributes to the emergency fund. $500 to educational programs. $100 just goes to gift cards. Every dollar is needed. Every dollar is super important. So we're going to show a video for each category that we're going to ask for funds for. And then at the end, you have a QR code. So if you are not tech savvy, it's pretty simple. You just open up the camera on your phone and you'll be able to scan the screen.
The Children's Inn is a really fun place where you can relax after all the appointments, and it's like home. Because there's other families there, and it's really fun.
Perfect. I know they're holding that QR code on there. You could just put your phone onto the screen. It is going to open that right up. You just click on the link. It'll take you right to the donation page. And you also see that Kristen put the link right in the chat. If your Droid or your iPhone is not working properly here tonight, click right on that link and you can make a very nice donation. Just wanted to add a couple things that I left off under the $10,000 donation. Obviously, you have children and their families traveling from all over the world. When they walk through the inn's doors, they know that they'll get taken care of, right? The inn reduces the burden of illness. The inn provides a free, family-centered place like home. The first thing I ever did before I met all you when I was up on stage in DC, I was given a fabulous tour of the inn to see the work that they do. So the QR code is on the screen. Take an extra moment here to scan the code or click on the link. All right. So feeding families, the next up is $5,000 donation. During these challenging times, the inn is taking an extra effort to keep seriously ill children, teens, and young adults and their families safe as they are especially vulnerable. Unfortunately, the inn is unable to welcome volunteers to host meals for families. So for safety, the inn provides 2 individually packaged meals per day. It's a grab-and-go breakfast. So this has resulted in unanticipated costs that total more than $500,000. So here is Eamon, who was diagnosed with GAN, and we're going to play that video right now.
As a parent of a kid staying at the Children's Inn, after a long day at the clinical center with a bunch of appointments, knowing that we can come home to the inn to the meals that are already ready for us, it really does feel like somebody's taking care of us and taking the time to put meals together. It does feel like family. It makes us feel like we are being blessed and thought about while we're away from home. So that is a wonderful program.
And you have the QR code for that as well. We obviously want to thank Eamon, his mother Nicole, and his father Michael for taking part, and his father helped film that video. So you should be able to use the QR code or click right on the link right there. I see lots of people clicking and donating. And here's a couple other shout outs that they just handed me. These are $1,000 donations. Kamal and Priya Narang gave $1,000. Erin Darling gave $1,000. Jill and John Olmstead, thank you for that $1,000 donation. Bob and Andrea McMahon, thank you so much. Dr. Fauci and Christine Grady, thank you so much. Another $1,000. Dr. Bill and Karen DeHutt as well, $1,500 to be exact. If anyone was worried, I am not a doctor, ladies and gentlemen, but there's a lot of doctors on here tonight. I wouldn't be one of them. I come from the School of Hard Knocks. So thank you for donating here to the inn. We have lots of $500 donations coming on as well. And we are going to move on right now. So this is the $2,500 donation, which is great. Obviously, for a playground is a perfect example. The children who walk through the inn's doors face all these challenges, as you know. That's why the inn works really, really hard to create a great memory for everybody. The playground is one of them. And of course, the playground is always in need of maintenance and updates. So check this out. We have a great playground video to show you.
I'm Jessica and I'm from Sweden. We stayed at Children's Inn for about 7 months when our 3 kids participated in the clinical trial at the NIH. Spent a lot of time at the playground, running around, up and down the hills and up and down the slides and swinging, and the kids absolutely loved it. And we as adults, we have loved it too. So thank you.
All right, while the QR code is up, you could scan that. We're just going to thank Jessica Fleesjo, all the way from Sweden, and her husband, Nicholas. And obviously, once again, it shows you the inn helps children from all over the world. Their children, Hampus, Julia, and Isabella. Obviously, they received pioneering gene therapy at the NIH. So scan that QR code or click on the link. It is that easy for you to donate. I see Dr. Collins donating right now. Good job. I am bringing you sequins when I see you next year. We're going to do a duet on stage together. That is for sure. So please donate, everybody. We have a couple more videos to show you of the great work that we're doing. That was the playground. Even the playground needs support, financial support to take care of the playground for the kids. So now I'm going to move on to the $1,000 emergency funds. Once again, we all know that every dollar counts. So the inn provides an emergency fund to families who need financial assistance while their loved ones undergo treatment at the NIH. So these funds relieve financial burdens, hardships, stress, providing families a lot of comfort that they need. So this could be anything from many unanticipated costs, right? Rent, mortgage, repairs for broken cars, you name it, phone bills. So here is the emergency fund video.
The Children's Inn Emergency Fund saved my life, literally, more times than I can count. From the initial trip to have the transplant, to the trips, to them funding the tickets, of me having to come back for my reports and all the checkups that needed to be done. I want you to know that you will forever hold a special place in my heart and in my life.
And while the QR code is up, that was Dixon, who came all the way from Uganda, and Dixon was diagnosed with sickle cell disorder. So you can also just click on that QR code and donate. It's that easy. Once again, we've had $10,000 donations, $5,000 donations, $2,500 donations, $1,000 donations, and $500 donations as well. And while that QR code is up, we have two more videos to show you. These are for $500 donations coming up. This is obviously for all the programming. Due to the pandemic, the inn had to reimagine its education and recreational programming activities, as we all have across the country. Late last year, the inn launched a virtual tutoring program, right, to help children keep up with their studies while also providing opportunities for their families to learn and enjoy recreational activities. So far, the virtual tutoring program has matched 6 participants with tutors, and the success stories are overwhelming. So here is Catherine from Oklahoma City, who came to the inn as she began her medical journey at the NIH after she was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So let's watch this video.
I was able to become a patient at NIH and also stay at Children's Inn. Despite of the pandemic, I love how they were able to adapt activities, even if they were online. Not only does me good, but it does the patients that are there. And it's because of people who donate and have that kindness and caring in their heart.
All right, the QR code is back up. Thank you to Catherine and all the children who are inspiring here tonight, that's for sure. So last but not least, we have $100 donations. These are for gift cards, of course, for takeout orders, go shopping. They have the Inn's Thoughtful Treasures mailbox. So this is our very own Yuffie in her own words, and we have one more video after they hold this QR code for the In Wish video that's coming up in a moment.
Pandemic has made it extra tough for patients like me staying at the Children's Inn. We're not able to go outside the hospital campus because most of us are immunocompromised. Thanks to different gift cards provided by the Children's Inn, like Visa gift cards, Amazon, and Grubhub, we can order food, rent a movie, or do some online shopping.
All right, that QR code is holding right now, and you can also click on the link. And remember, once again, folks, you can give at any level using the link or the QR code. It is that simple. You can make the $100 donation, 500, 5,000, 10,000, or as much as you would like. Please don't forget that. You can donate any level. Obviously, Yuffie, once again, she's a student at Rutgers. She's been at the Inn for 2 years, and you can see how even $100 makes a difference. So please remember, everyone, you can donate at any level at all. And also, it's very simple. We also have another link, which is 30yearsofhope.com/RTP for Raise the Paddle to learn more about each story. So really wanted to just thank everyone and all the parents that filmed their kids and everyone involved with all these videos. And I hope everyone had a chance to donate. Please click on the link at any level. And I know they'll follow up as well. So thank you so much. Great seeing everyone again. Look forward to seeing you live next year. And now we're going to turn it back to Jenny, and I'll bring some new sequins in 2022.
All right, Billy, thank you so much. And thank you to our dedicated supporters for giving so generously tonight. Your donations truly help us to fulfill our mission. And we're so happy that you can come spend some time with us virtually. It might not be our big gala that we're used to. We look forward to that next year. But I think tonight has been a really important way of celebrating the Children's Inn and what's to come. So with that, I'm going to bring our evening to a close with some special thank yous to our esteemed speakers. Of course, Dr. Collins, Ken Frazier, it was wonderful to have you, Susan and Prachi, and our sponsors. Thank you especially to our presenting sponsors, Merck and Synergy. And I'd like to share a little bit about the coming week. So tonight was a celebratory event. We have 3 informational events happening over the next 3 weeks. Well, you'll have the opportunity to hear from NIH directors and the groundbreaking research that is happening at their institutes, as well as how the Children's Inn supports their work. We will have a few Children's Inn families at each of those sessions as well. So I invite you to register for those. You can go to 30yearsofhope.com. We look forward to seeing you at those events. Again, thank you for being part of tonight, and thank you for being part of our 30 years. Have a great evening, and I think we have a closing thank you video where you will hear from some of our special children and their families.
Ominous is the storm, it is relentless. The tree stands tall, the leaves never fall. This tree embraces me with love, its branches clap 1,000 claps for my unmistaken happiness, rooted forever in my heart.
The Children's Inn is like home to me. It brought me family and friends.
Without their help, without their efforts, we would not have the quality of life that we have for our boys, that we dreamed of for our boys. So we just can't express how grateful we are for that.
Thank you for giving us the Children's Inn.
Thank you to the people that make the Inn special. I love the Children's Inn. I'm thankful for the family dinners and amazing food I come at home.
Are so grateful to the donors, the staff, the volunteers, everybody involved in the Children's Inn. If we didn't have the Children's Inn, I don't know how we would do this.
Thank you, donors and staff.
Thank you so much for giving us the Children's Inn.
We just want to say thank you for everything that you all do.
Happy anniversary to the Children's Inn. Thank you.
To have no worries about our arrangements.
Truly grateful.
Forever grateful.
I would like to thank the staff of the Children's Inn, most importantly the donors who make the Children's Inn possible.